Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My husband and I recently traveled to the mainland from Kauai with our 5-month-old daughter. You can hear in the background. And this video is going to be what it was like to travel during the pandemic. The airports, the planes, the people, our concerns, and then just some tips and suggestions if you're going to be traveling in the next couple weeks or months. Before we went on this trip, we definitely had our concerns about contracting the coronavirus, and that everywhere we go, people would be really sick, and we were just a cough away from passing it on to everyone in our entire family. Is it too dangerous to be on a plane? Are we putting the baby in jeopardy? Despite all these concerns, we decided to take a 2-week trip to California and Texas, which included 6 plane rides with our 5-month-old daughter. No matter what I say in this video, traveling is up to you. I think domestically within the US, I felt pretty comfortable, and I'm really glad that we did do our trip, but it's entirely up to you. Everybody is different. If you have a compromised immune system, I would say just stay home. And of course, be smart. You gotta social distance and wear your mask and wash your hands. But despite all of those other recommendations by the CDC and health organizations, this is my insight into flying during COVID. The airports. Okay, no, airports can be so hectic. It's just a breeding ground of anxiety and so many things. Usually the airport I can't. It's the worst part of traveling. I don't even really like sitting on planes, and I find them very boring, but literally the worst part is the airport. However, during this COVID-19 pandemic, the airports were empty. And I'm talking dead. There were barely any people in the airport, and oh my gosh, this was amazing. The Kauai airport, which was already really small, was really easy. We flew Hawaiian, and my bag was too heavy, and they ended up waiving the fee. We didn't have to wait in line. We didn't have to check in on the computer thingy. Going over to TSA, it was so dead. There were no lines. I actually usually have TSA pre-check, but they didn't even have the line open because it wasn't even necessary. They took our temperature before we got into the security line, and we went through literally in 5 minutes. Obviously at the airport, everyone's wearing their masks and everyone's social distancing. They had X's in the lines so that everyone was enough feet apart. But honestly, if you're gonna be in public, wear a mask. Everyone is wearing one. It's rude if you don't wear one. A mask protects me, it protects you. Just wear one. All of these anti-mask rallies, I can't. Just wear a fucking mask. Why is it so hard? Just put it on, okay? If you think about it, a sneeze travels hundreds of miles per hour, and this is an airborne virus. So just wear a mask, okay? It's not hard. And honestly, it made me feel so comfortable seeing that everyone was wearing one. But yeah, the whole thing was just not stressful. When we got to SFO, everything was closed. There was maybe 1 or 2 places that were open for food and drink. But again, there were lines for social distancing. People were wearing masks. They're not doing fountain drinks. It's all closed bottles and to-go containers. There's no open food. No one's touching the food. Even inside the terminal, they had seats crossed off, so you have to sit 6 feet away from people. Even in the bathrooms, it's every other sink. Actually, when we went to DFW, they had a vending machine, and in the vending machine was hand sanitizer and masks. And I was like, oh, okay, we're really in a pandemic. Once I got through the airport and everything was so easy, I immediately felt less anxious. That typical airport experience where I get stressed out by the time I'm through security and at the chair, I'm don't even talk to me, I'm so fucking pissed. That didn't happen. And I had a baby. I'm telling you, it was so calm and stress-free. Okay, the planes. Hands down, this was the best flying experience of my life, and I literally went on 6 flights with a 5-month-old baby. First thing, everyone wore their masks. Airplanes are so air conditioned, and it's nice and cool. It's actually kind of nice. So cozy, and I was just in my little corner, with my little family and my cute little mask, just ready to go, not breathing on anybody, no one breathing on me. It was great. We flew Hawaiian to the mainland, and then we flew American from San Francisco to Dallas and back, and they were all very clear, you need to be wearing your masks. Obviously you're allowed to take it off to eat and drink, but they would kindly remind you to put it back on if you had forgotten. They also would tell you that if you don't want to follow the rules, then it's going to prevent you from flying on their airlines in the future. So it was really encouraging everybody to keep them on in a not dickish way. Not to mention, every flight was half full. On our long flight from Honolulu to San Francisco, Wailea and I had a whole middle row, 4 seats for the 3 of us. The whole row behind us was empty. No one was sitting next to each other that wasn't the same family group. Like, they were actually doing social distancing on the plane as well. It was amazing because the planes were so empty that the flight attendants were just like not stressed out. Flight attendants have such a difficult job, and I know that having like full planes and people making demands, asking for things for the whole flight can be really, really stressful. Everyone was in such a good mood. It was really relieving. It was, you know, it was good. So on our flight back from Dallas, it was so empty that we were able to upgrade to first class for like 40 bucks a person. On other flights, because it was so empty, we were able to give the middle seat to Elia instead of just having her on our lap. And then actually also on our flight from San Francisco to Honolulu, they let us bring our car seat on the plane without a fee. We were ready to gate check it. She's like, you can bring it on. One thing about the plane is that it was limited drink service. You know how usually they'll bring you like a soda with some ice. They weren't opening any containers. It was the same regulations as the restaurants in the airport, that they were serving closed containers. So they were giving you like big water bottles or like a whole can of soda or juice. They obviously weren't serving coffee. They weren't serving alcohol. So it was just limited on our Hawaiian Airlines flight because it was 5.5 hours. They did serve us a sandwich, but it was like in a closed thing. They just kind of passed it out to people. The whole flight, they walk up and down like every 10-15 minutes with a garbage bag, encouraging you to throw your garbage away and not stuffing it in the back seats, not leaving things that you're touching anywhere on the plane. Like, they were doing such a good job of keeping people's germs to themselves and just their trash in bags. Like, it was great. Everything was so clean. I thought they did a phenomenal job about just like keeping everybody's safety in mind. I was very impressed and really happy. As I was going along with this trip, I was just more and more pleased with the fact that we had decided to take this trip. Everything was so great. I'm like wondering like where else in the US like we can go and like go travel now while the planes are freaking empty. I want to hop on a plane and like go somewhere again like right now. The last thing that I want to discuss is the people. People in the airports, people in the planes, and people in the other cities. Everyone was so kind and so friendly. Everyone was so grateful and appreciative to be traveling. Everyone was so kind and respectful towards one another. In the beginning, I had those concerns like, oh my gosh, someone's gonna sneeze on me and like get me sick. I realized as we're traveling, everyone's just as worried as you are about themselves. So everyone's trying to be as safe as possible. No one's trying to get close to you. Everyone's worried about their own breathing. It was just really working in this really beautiful way of everyone kind of coming together and keeping everybody safe. We didn't have a single issue with anybody. I'm not really a confrontational person. Well, with strangers, I'm not really one person to be like, excuse me, sir. I don't do that. There was no reason for Wailea, even I, to like have like a side look and be like, it wasn't like that at all. Everywhere else, people are wearing their masks, there's social distancing, and everyone is just as concerned as you are. You are not the only person on this earth who's concerned about getting sick. Everyone else is just as concerned. I didn't even really see anybody who was like, thought they were like above masks. Like, everyone was wearing them. I think for a while the world was getting a little bit dark and people were pretty grumpy and like selfish. And it was so nice to see all these like beautiful souls out and about. It's like having a nice time, like co-mingling, but like physically distanced. Like, it was like really cool. That wraps up like my experiences, but I just want to say, like, having traveled during this, it made me feel really, really empowered. We're all really scared because we're getting so much misinformation. You don't really know exactly what's going on, what numbers are real. And the news makes it sound like people are dying in the streets and COVID is just like on the corner across the street. I just felt really at ease having gone out and about off of my remote island that has 0 active cases to a place where there's on the news thousands and thousands of cases, but knowing that it's honestly up to you how safe you are on these flights. You are in so much control of your safety. You wear your mask, you wash your hands, you stay away from people. Be smart. You have so much more control than you think. I think it's so important for people to remember that. You are so capable. I even asked my husband about what he felt about this traveling experience.
The planes in the airports were great. It wasn't stressful. Normally when you go to the airport, you're kind of stressed out by all the crowdedness and people, but this time it was really nice. People were just minding their own business, no rude turkeys. It was nice. It was the nicest flying experience I've ever had. Telling Sophia I want to travel just like right now, I just want to leave and just go for another trip. I mean, I would definitely pray about it first.
But it's really nice to hear like his opinion about traveling, because he had more concerns about traveling than I did. So to hear that from him, I feel like almost weighs more than my opinion. All that being said, I think it's terrible that people are sick. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, like it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that if you are smart and you take precautions, based on my experience, I think it's okay. And again, I don't have a compromised immune system. I don't have any kind of like diseases or medical problems that make me more prone to this virus, especially if I were to contract it and being dangerous. But I did go on 6 flights and went to 4 different cities, and Wiley and we didn't get sick. If you feel compelled to go and see your family, or you have somewhere that you need to go that's very important, I think you can do it. My one negative thing that I will say is that coming back to Hawaii, we have to do 14 days of quarantine. We can't even leave the house to even go to the grocery store. So we've been like recruiting as many family members as possible to like drop food on our doorstep. That's like the only bad part, is that we had to quarantine coming home. Actually, when quarantine is done, Wiley and I are gonna do a whole series on Kauai. Best beaches, restaurants, places to go, places to stay, secrets about the island from a local. Like, I can't wait for this series. I'm so excited to share this island with you guys, so that when quarantine is lifted and traveling becomes even more regular, that you guys can come and visit Kauai and check out some of our favorite spots. Thank you for listening to my COVID travel rant. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. I upload every Sunday and every Wednesday, and occasionally more if I feel like it. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time.